All right. Welcome back to the Forest Brothers podcast. It's your boy Mutsa Chris down out here in the cut with my brothers. As you might say, listener, viewer, we've got a new face on the podcast. It's the boy, Mr. Emmanuel, but you hear from him shortly. Joined here by my other brothers, Samson, Kosi. Gonna give the brothers a chance to just say hello to our people out there. But since we have our special guest today, let's start with Mr. Emmanuel just to say hello to the mandem, to the people, to the folk, and then we'll jump over to Nkosi, and then Samson, and then we'll get started with the episode today. Listener, so over to you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Well, what can I say? I'm a big fan of the show, first and foremost. So thank you for having me. I'm Emmanuel, guest of the day. Hopefully, we've got a lot of conflicted narratives we can throw around today. So over to you, Mr. Samson.
Right. Hello, dear listener. This is Samson, of course. You are watching the Forest Brothers podcast. Happy you've decided to join us again this week. Welcome, Brother Emmanuel. Looking forward to hearing from you. My guy Mangoro, Mutsa, great to see you guys as always. And yeah, Mangoro, please take it away.
Thank you for the platform, Mr. Sampson. I'd like to say welcome to Mr. Emmanuel here to the Forest Brothers podcast. Listener, as you're out there listening, we bring more guests. The new season, new guest. Hopefully, he gives us the content that we like here at the Forest Brothers podcast. I hear he has some very interesting things for Mutsa, so tune in. And yeah, going to be a beautiful show, listener.
It's going to be extra beautiful because the brother Emmanuel is a Manchester United supporter. So, we've been talking mad reckless on this podcast about Man United. And finally, we have someone who's in the home. He's going to tell us all the dirty laundry in his home. So we're excited to finally roast a United supporter in the flesh. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Tantalizing. I cannot wait. That's coming up soon, listeners. So stay tuned. But in this current episode today, we'll be chatting about the El Clasico. So listener, viewer, if you're not very familiar, the El Clasico happened a couple of days ago. Barcelona beat Real Madrid 4-0. It was quite the flooring. And for this particular segment, I'm actually going to hand it over to the boy, Mr. Samson, our La Liga correspondent, who was present at, was it at the Bernabeu or was it at Santiago Bay? I don't even know where it was. Anyway, I will hand it over. And I know it's not called Santiago Bay. I don't know what the fuck it's called, man. Santiago, I don't know what it is. Anyway, Samson, take it away, my guy.
I mean, I thought you had it right the first time. I don't know why you had to overcorrect yourself. But anyways, yeah, it was an incredible week for Barca fans and Barcelona Football Club. Midweek, they played in Bayern Munich in the Champions League. They thrashed them 4-1. And yesterday, at the Bernabeu, as my brother Mutsa just said, they beat Real Madrid 4-0. And the story of the game, the story of the week has really been Barcelona's high offside line. During the Bayern game, various commentators were asking, are they high, Barcelona? Are the coaches high? Because that line, it's ridiculous. It looks ridiculous. It looks like teams should be taking advantage of them every game. But for some reason, they're just able to work it so well and just get so many offsides. I think I saw a stat somewhere that they lead the whole of Europe for catching teams offside so far. They have caught teams about, I think, over 70 times offside. In the Real game alone, they caught Real offside 12 times. Dear listener, if you don't understand those numbers, just know that the next team that's close to that number has about 30. So it's unfathomable, that they're able to get teams offside that many times. So you have to give them some credit. But at the same time, this was a story about not just the offside, but the young players who arrived. You can't forget, it was a clean sheet, right? So they did not concede. The goalkeeper, Inaki Peña, young Spanish goalkeeper, I think he's like 24, 25. This was his fifth Clasico. He played very well. You had the 17-year-old center back, Paul Cabrasi, had a very good game, was handling Mbappe all game. You had The defensive midfielder, Mark Casado, again, an incredible game from him. And of course, Lamine Yamal, everybody knows about him. I think, this is going to sound controversial, but I think this is the new Ronaldinho. Obviously, he's Spanish, not Brazilian, but this kid is incredible. What he does on the ball, the way he manipulates, the way he dribbles. He can. I saw him dribble past three guys, and he pushed the ball past one, put it through the legs of another, push past the third one. I mean, when you do something like that and you can do it consistently, you're only headed to the top. That's the only place you're headed. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of him moving forward. And of course, the final thing about this is that Real Madrid were awful. Real Madrid probably played the worst game if they played all season. Kylian Mbappe probably had the worst game of his career. I think of the 12 offsides, he had 6 of them alone. Awful game. But yes, I will hand this over to my brother Mungo. Mungo, what did you think of the game, having seen what transpired there at the Bernabeu?
To be completely honest, dear listener or dear viewer, I didn't watch the whole game. I watched bits and bobs of it because I was busy with far more important things. But I'll share my 2 cents here. But when I do agree with everything you mentioned there, Samson, but I do want to add on to the Mbappe situation. I think he was more concerned about how many offsides he can rack up in that particular game rather than how many goals he could score. Because even when he was onside and he was through one-on-one, he missed like 2 or 3 clear cut chances where Naki Pena turned into Marc-Andre ter Stegen for some odd reason. So there were just so many chances. Him and Vinny, like I don't know, Vinny yesterday. Like he just didn't look convincing. Like some of the chances he was getting, he would be through, then he would just hit it wide. When you look at the team across the board, it looked so disjointed. I don't know why Ancelotti thought he could play a midfield 4 of 4 midfielders, even on the wing with Jude and Kamavinga on right and left. That just was not going to work. And then when you look at the game as a whole, I think the score flattered Barcelona. I think it could have been 7. Like if Barcelona were clinical, like they could have scored more. There was one pass of the game by Lewandowski, back heel through to Lamine Yamal and just chipped it straight at the keeper. That was a goal. Then there were just some other chances where Rafinha was just dancing through people, and like it was just so easy. It was so easy. Like I remember the goal. I think one of the goals that Lewandowski scored across from Balde. Lewandowski had the freedom of the Bernabeu, and it's the Bernabeu, Muta, not whatever you were saying. But there were just so many aspects of that game where when you look at it and you're like, what am I watching here? Like, because it was just so open. But I do want to comment on this high Barcelona line. Like that is just some high risk, high reward kind of soccer. And it's been working against Bayern, and it worked yesterday. Like I think they could have embarrassed. Like honestly, Barca could have embarrassed Real even more. It's just that I think maybe there was just some respect aspect at the end, or maybe just some youthful exuberance and just not being clinical enough, because some of the chances they were quite open. But also, I do want to also add that Real defensively, I think they need to start looking. They need a new right back. They certainly do also need to look at their left back options. I don't think that those players are going to make the cut. Lucas Vazquez is a failed right winger, and he's playing right back. So there's just some aspects, and the midfield, there's just so many things that they need to fix, so maybe to win the Champions League. If they continue on this current trajectory, I don't think they'll be winning no Champions League anytime soon, because they just look atrocious. But yeah, Muta, I don't know, or Emmanuel, if you want to add on to what you've seen, because that to me was not very good.
I heard the boy Trent is trying to go to Madrid, so maybe that'll fix the right wing problems. But that seems more of an issue than it's a solution. But if anything, hey, good luck to him if he ends up going. But I was gonna say, I think me and Emmanuel are more of the casual. We're very loyal guys to the Prem. We don't watch La Liga. I personally don't watch La Liga, and I know that brother doesn't watch La Liga either. So we're married to the Prem, but given what you guys are saying, I was actually going to ask the brother Emmanuel, is El Clasico, do you think it's making a comeback? What will make you say, you know what, I'm going to tune into that? Like, is it only going to take maybe like a Haaland to go to Madrid for you to be like, I'm going to tune in, Madrid, Haaland versus Mbappe, or like, for you, is it still, even if it pops off over there and it's 10-3, you don't care? Like, what's your take on that?
I think this is the stuff that makes people tune in. If you ask me, score lines like this, players like this, big name players, big score lines, wonderful goals. This is the stuff that makes people tune in. And so now, because you're watching this kid, this is literally a kid. He should be in high school or something. You're watching a kid take one of like the biggest stages, arenas by storm. And because I think you said something about respect. I think it was after the fourth goal, someone pulled out someone else's dance moves, and I was like, "There's no way. That was a disrespectful display. It was probably youthful exuberance. Like they wanted to kill and embarrass out there. So if they failed to do more, it's not because they didn't want to. It was probably something else, another factor there for sure. But yeah, it's stuff like that that makes me want to watch. I'm sad I didn't watch. I actually wish I watched it because I feel like I missed out. I feel like I missed out a lot. People thought that after Mbappe joined Madrid, people were talking like it was Pep and City in the Premier League. That kind of dominance. That's what people thought. That's what we all thought. We thought it was over for Champions League, for FIFA Club World Cup, for obviously domestically we don't even have to talk about, and obviously the cups and stuff. But like they're looking very immortal. They're looking like Batman versus Superman. Do you bleed? Yeah, they bleed. Those boys bled this weekend. So yeah, stuff like that. I'm gonna keep watching. I'm gonna tap in a bit more now because of this, because it feels like a proper rivalry. It feels like there's candidates on either team that are fighting for Ballon d'Or, and that was what El Clasico was all about. That's the reason we watched it. I watched it. It felt like these two guys, these two giants, fighting. Historically, yeah, it's a club issue, but when I started tapping in, it was Ronaldo versus Messi. I feel like we're getting some of that energy back. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna start tapping in more, and I feel like more people should. If people had checked out for a little bit, I feel like you should definitely start thinking of making a comeback into that. Can't speak for the whole league at large, but that specific matchup, yeah, we should definitely start tapping in more. Thank you for that question.
Now that makes sense. Actually, because if I look at the league right now, Barcelona is number one with 30 points, 11 games played, 10 wins. Madrid is second, 7 wins. They're on 24 points. So Barca is 6 points clear of Madrid right now. So if I actually look at the table, it's actually looking a little bit more competitive this time around. Like Villarreal is third with 21 points. Atletico is fourth with 20. And then there's not much separating these top 4, top 6 teams. So, hey, man, I don't know. Maybe it is making a comeback slowly but surely because, hey, man, Premier League has been killing these brothers for the last 2 years. Like, it was not even a competition. It was not even a competition. One question that I did have, and maybe Samson, it comes to you. You said that Mbappe had 6 offsides in the entire game. Was that due to, like, laziness? Or is there, like, a fullback or the defenders, are they just as quick or almost as quick as he is? Because I would imagine that Mbappe is one of the fastest players. I mean, he is one of the fastest players in the world. So there's no reason for him to actually be offside that much. So is it a question of saying, was he just checked out and he wasn't like, because even if he starts behind the line, I'm sure he can outpace a young kid, like he has that much pace in him. He's not an old guy, like he can do it. So what was the major reason why Mbappe was just continuously offside in that game?
I can't tell you honestly. It's one of those things that it's so confusing. It's almost like the best example I can give is like For the viewers out there who play Football Manager or who play these like football simulation games, and you create the best team with the best players, best formation, and you lose 6-0, and everyone has like a 4.0 rating out of 10. Like it's that kind of thing where it's like it doesn't make sense what he's doing. This is a guy who played at the World Cup final, he won it. He's played in huge Champions League games. The way he burst onto the scene was by beating offside traps and using his pace. Like this is something he's been doing from the very beginning of his career, and yet he was facing four defenders who Balde, yes, could catch him, but Balde was more focused on attacking, so he wasn't even facing Mbappe most of the game. Kunde, Paul Cabrasi, and Inigo Martinez were his main defenders. Inigo Martinez is 33 years old. He can't run. Cabrasi is 17, and he's like he's more of a technical defender than he is a physical one. He's not even that strong, but he's good at positioning. And Kunde is a right back who's really a center back, so he's not the fastest either. The point is, if Mbappe, like you're saying, if he stood 2 meters, 3 meters behind the halfway line and just ran, he would have gotten the ball every single time. Why he decided to sit on Inigo Martinez's shoulder, Paul Cabrasi's shoulder for 90 minutes, I will never know. It doesn't make sense because I know Harry Kane had the same problem midweek, but Harry Kane has very fast wingers around him, so he could afford to be offside, wait for the wingers to go in behind, and just wait for the ball to come in. Mbappe, the ball is coming to you. You're the one who has to catch that ball, so you have to start behind. I don't know. Like, I think he's going to look back at this game and it's going to give him nightmares. Like, honestly, this was his first time on the big stage. He's always wanted to be at Real Madrid, always wanted to be the star man, and he shot the bed, plain and simple. This was the worst performance a star player, a Galactico, could have put on in the Clasico. I can't explain to you just how bad. Like, there are so many Premier League strikers who could have done better than this. I would even say your boy Jean-Philippe Mateta could have banged a hat trick.
Hey, easy on my boy Mateta. Easy on my boy Mateta. He killed us today, but easy on my.
He could have done it. I'm telling you, That's how awful Mbappe was. So yeah, I'll say he let himself down more than anything. And also, I know Emmanuel mentioned the Ballon d'Or. Only the Real players are really in the running for this year's Ballon d'Or. And it's mainly Vinny and Jude who are leading the race. Jude was invisible. He did not do anything. Vinny, I feel, was impacted by the formation more than anything else. I think he would have appreciated having Rodrigo on the pitch. So another winger to stretch the pitch so that he doesn't have to go inside as much. Because he was really forced to be a second striker. And I don't think that, really suited the kind of runs he would usually make. But yeah, that being said, I think Vinny's still probably leading the Ballon d'Or race for me. He had an incredible hat trick, in the Champions League. And I think, if Mangoro has mentioned, if Ancelotti didn't play four midfielders who just run all day, they don't pass, maybe the game would have been different because, you have players like Jude Bellingham and Valverde trying to make passes that really Modric should be making. And they were not making them very well, but also when they did make them well, Mbappe wasn't getting on the end of them. So it's tough. But on the other side, you have Rafinha, who's probably the best winger in the world right now. He scored a hat trick midweek. He had a very great game yesterday. And Lamine Yamal, I wouldn't say he's on that level yet, but I'd say 2-3 years he'll probably be on the list. I'd say he'll probably be on the list. But yeah, Vinny for Ballon d'Or is probably what's going to happen.
But I do want to add something here real quick, just on this game, and I think it's the impact of this particular game. In that, when we think about it, This was at Real's home turf, and if you understand the rivalry that exists between Barcelona and Real Madrid, it's probably the biggest rivalry in the world, bigger than all the Premier League rivalries. This is like it's that personal. It's as big as like the North African teams that we have there. Because I don't know, it's just so personal. But and then also just to think about the impact of you come to someone's field and you give them good four goals unanswered. Maybe if it was 4-1, 4-2, I'd understand. 4-0, and it could have been more. Like that's something you think about the what impact that will now have on Real going forward and versus and Barcelona as well. Especially for Real because now they came into this, they were like, Barca doesn't have money. We'll sign probably the best player in the world on a free, gave them all this money. They don't have money. They probably just going to rely on these children, and these children come here and they destroyed them at home. It's just truly embarrassing. Like, and there was no red card even. I don't know. I was thinking of like, there is no red card, but you still look this terrible with your superstar players. So going forward, I think there'll be a few checks within the team in terms of like just some self introspection across the managers and the players, because when they look back at that just was not great.
Just to round off this little episode on the Classico, I need to do a round table question for you three brothers, man. And I'll start with the brother Emmanuel. Is Jude Bellingham overrated? Yes or no, and give a reason why. Because as Samson said, the boy was nowhere to be found. Personally, he is. I hate Jude Bellingham with all my heart. And I know he's decent, but I think there's too much PR on the brother, man. Like, I've never seen it. I've never been convinced. People love the UK media, love the guy. And personally, I just think he's a scam. I personally believe that the boy Jude Bellingham is a scam. Yes, he pulls out worldies here and there, but come on, man. Come on. Like, people pull out worldies all the time. Anyway, so I don't want to rant too much about the boy Jude Bellingham. I just want to do like a round table. You guys tell me. Maybe I'm hating, because I know I'm a hater. But maybe there's... So, Manu, like, please let us... In your personal opinion, is the boy Jude Bellingham overrated, or does he deserve the hype?
This man said people pull out worldies all the time. Hey, listen, man. I'm about to throw a grenade in this one. Jude Bellingham is... They treat him like... People talk about Jude like he's Pogba. That's how I feel about Jude Bellingham. They talk about this guy like he's prime Pogba. Did you guys see how happy Mbappe was when they were like, "Oh, Pogba's coming back"? Like, yo, are you coming back? In his IG comments, geeking because France is about to turn up. These guys missed that, man. Like, this is who you speak about in that regard. The way they talk about Jude is a bad match. Yes, he's good. I can understand that. I can respect. Like, okay, yeah, he's good. He always knows how to find his way into the box, find his way on the stat sheet. That it's yeah, he's a good player, but the way they speak about him, like even now, you said top two contenders for Ballon d'Or, and Jude is there. His name is I'd sooner put Yamal on the short list, honestly. But yeah, he's a good player. He's just not that great.
Sangi, what about you, man? No, to the boy Bangora.
Yeah, he's good. I wouldn't go so far as say he's overrated. I think especially when you're on social media these days, like the PR machine, right? Like that's behind players. That's different than it used to be. So maybe that's what is changing the perception around him. But I don't think he's like when you talk about midfielders in the game right now. I'd say he's pretty good. I'd say he's if you're drafting midfielders into your team, and you have a list of everyone has like a top five that they would put into their team. I'd say he'd make that five because I can't name more. I can't name more than four players who play midfield that would want more than Jude Bellingham in my team, and I think that's where he's at right now. But also at the same time, and I saw he said he was invisible yesterday. I think a huge part of why he was invisible was how he was being used. We spoke about the offside trap. He is another guy who could have been making runs in behind, and I think if Ancelotti had another winger on the pitch, so you're stretching the pitch with Vinny on one side, another wing on the other side. That gives Mbappe and Jude, Mbappe and someone else that room to run. And Jude, I feel, could have been one of those runners because that's what he does. He makes runs from midfield and he gets into the box. He wasn't able to do that at all, mainly because of how the team was set up, but also when he did get there, he didn't do anything. So, yeah.
To me, I'd say he's a good player. I'd say when you watch him play, like I remember I did watch him briefly when they were talking about him back in the day when he used to be linked with Manchester United, when I think we were 16 or 17 at Birmingham City, and how he could play 4, 6, and 10. Was it 4, 6, and 10? Yeah, like those three positions. And I think you could see that there's a player in there. And to me, I'd say he's actually quite a technician when you actually watch him play as a midfielder. When he's out of position, he won't look that great. It's just that when you play in these big teams, like you do have to adapt, and there's big coaches and things like that. You have to adapt. But I'd say he's a good player because think about this, and all the listeners out there as well. This guy is what, 2021, and what he's achieved. Imagine what it'll be at 27, 28. At 21, he's achieved these things. And he just looks like the world is just below his feet. Like everything is just calm to him. Like he's not panicking. So we'll see after the years go by. Maybe we'll have a conversation 3, 4 years down the line and we'll revisit this particular conversation. But I think from what he's achieved, it's been truly amazing. And there's probably more to come. And you, Mutsa, maybe you'll have to eat some humble pie.
I'm telling you right now, we come back to this conversation, Jude would have fallen off. He's going to fall off. His time has come and passed. I'll tell that right now.
Okay, that's ridiculous. I don't.
I'm telling you, it's gone. You know how pissed I am that it's on the FIFA 25 poster, like on the card on the game thingy. He doesn't deserve to be there. Not Jude. Come on, man. Better Foden. Foden should have been there actually instead of Jude. So anyway.
Okay, I also say part of the reason behind the hype train. Like last year, he was scoring a lot of game winners. Like almost every other match when they didn't have a proper striker, he would show up in the box. Late in the game, he'd score a bunch of winners, and I think that's that played a huge role. And that's why I say I don't think he was used well yesterday because I think that's his main asset, the ability to get goals from midfield. So if he can do that more, I think he's going to be considered a great for a long time.
But, you know what? Kills that argument. Scott McTominay is a game winner player. He's not gonna get the same hype Jude is. Never. Scott and Jude are the same type of person. Exact same player. You never see Scott on the front of FIFA poster or whatever the fuck. So, and we now see what Scott is. So, hey. Jude, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, man, but
yes, but can I just stop you there? Where is Scott McTominay? Yeah, right now let's talk. Italy. Yeah, so doesn't that tell you something? He plays for Napoli.
Italy is like the washing basket of Europe in terms of like, come on, no one goes to Italy to improve their career, bro. Like that's where you go. And
where does Jude play?
He doesn't play in Italy. That's what.
Okay, Mita. We'll let the listeners decide where each of these players rank, given the respective leagues they play in and the respective teams they play for. I don't even think you've watched a Serie A game in like 10 years. That just goes to show that the quality of player that Scott McTominay is versus Jude. Scott McTominay is the what do I want to call it? The team of Jude Bellingham. It's the team of Jude Bellingham. That guy.
Nah, it's the same shit. It's the same shit. Anyway, listener, you just say, let us know in the comments how you feel. For me, they're the same guy. They're the same person. It's just that one is better looking than the other one. That's it. But and he's ready for PR. Like he's got the face. Anyway, if it wasn't for that, I don't think he'll be as big as he is. But listen, you let us know. Maybe I'm hating. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? I'm usually right more than I'm hating. But anyway, with that, we'll close it off on this El Clasico segment. Thank you so much, listener. And I'll let my brothers say their final goodbyes for this, and then we'll peace out. Starting with, I'll start with our guest again, Mr. Emmanuel. Let what are any final words before we end the podcast?
No, I think I laid all my views out. In case it wasn't clear, I might just double down on this one point because I don't think people are understanding like the gravity, like how much I believe in this. Like Pogba is the LeBron James of Jude Bellingham's. That's where we are there. When we're talking about this is how I see them. Scott is somewhere down there. Mutsa's talking crazy. That's crazy. McTominay doesn't have half the talent in that man's pinky. But yeah. I don't wanna shit on him too much and say he's a bad player. He's definitely not a bad player. He's a good player. Like you guys are definitely on the nail, hitting the nail on the head there. But it's mostly PR. It's mostly PR. It's similar to Bruno Fernandes in that, not that they're the same player, but in that whenever Bruno scores or assists, a lot of people say his bad performances are forgotten. Not to say Jude has bad performances or that he hides them with the goals, but as a midfielder, if you're doing those things, they kind of prop you up a lot higher than the technical stuff. With your actual job in the midfield. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Jude. And once again, thank you very much for having me on the show, Mr. Muta and Mr. Nkosi and Mr. Sampson. As a fan, to be stepping up on the podium it kind of feels kind of different. It feels kind of different. So appreciate you guys for having me on the platform.
I appreciate it, Mr. Emmanuel. Over to the boy Asanya, and then we'll close over with Mr. Nkosi, and then we'll be out of here.
Dear listener, great having you with us once again on the Forest Buzz podcast. Great having the man Emmanuel this week. It's been great hearing your views. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this episode about the Clasico. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully with takes that are not as insane as McTominay is as good as Jude Bellingham, but it is what it is. We have a hater in our midst. It's fine. That's what he does. But yeah, dear listener, we'll catch you on the next one. Over to you, Mongoro.
Thank you, listener, for tuning into the Frost Brothers podcast. New week it's always a new week at the Frost Brothers podcast. Now we'd like to thank our guest here. He's shared some interesting views that we do agree with here at the Frost Brothers podcast, and I also do agree with that guy. I don't agree with that guy. That guy needs to be stopped. But in all honesty, listener, do the right thing. Like, comment, subscribe. The Frost Brothers podcast is growing. We're now at road to 100 subscribers. Sounds funny to say that, but we're definitely going to say that. So be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, add the comments. All the listeners come for that brother Muta in the comments, and we'll be there in those comments.
Now come through, fans, come through. And with that, thank you so much, listener, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out.